The stars looked different from the edge of the solar system. Captain Laura Mason stood at the main viewport of the ISS Artemis, watching the endless black of space. After 6 months of travel, they had reached the outer edges of the Kuiper Belt. This was the farthest any human ship had ever ventured. "Captain, you might want to see this," Dr. Peter Walsh called from his science station. His voice held an edge that made Laura turn immediately. In 15 years of working together, she had never heard him sound worried like this. She walked across the bridge, her magnetic boots clicking against the metal floor. The Artemis was humanity's pride, the first deep space research vessel built to push the boundaries of known space. Its rotating sections provided artificial gravity, but the bridge stayed in zero for better sensor operation. "What have you found, Peter?" she asked, leaning over his shoulder to look at the screens. "Energy readings unlike anything I've ever seen." He pointed to a cluster of numbers that kept changing. "It's as if space itself is bending." Chief Engineer Alice Hammond joined them, her red hair floating in the zero gravity. "The sensors are working perfectly," she said before anyone could ask. "I ran 3 diagnostic checks. Whatever we're seeing is real." The readings grew stronger. Laura felt the hair on the back of her neck stand up. Something was very wrong with the space in front of their ship. "All stations, yellow alert," she ordered. "Alice, power up the defensive systems. I don't care if they're just for asteroids. I want them ready." The crew moved with practiced ease. They had trained for every possible situation. But deep down, Laura knew this was something entirely new. A flash of light made everyone shield their eyes. When they could see again, what they saw made them freeze. Space itself had torn open, creating what looked like a glowing purple wound in the black void. Through this tear came 3 ships, each one bigger than the Artemis. "My God," Peter whispered. The alien vessels were beautiful and terrifying. They looked like giant silver arrowheads with pulsing blue lines running along their hulls. They moved with impossible grace, as if the normal rules of space didn't apply to them. "All hands, battle stations," Laura ordered, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill." The Artemis's lights dimmed as power was diverted to its defensive systems. Alice had modified their asteroid deflectors into makeshift shields, though no one had expected to need them so soon. A voice boomed through their communication system, speaking perfect English. "Human vessel, this is High Commander Zixtal of the Nexari Defense Fleet. You have witnessed restricted dimensional travel technology. Prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will result in your destruction." Laura shared a look with her bridge crew. They all knew what was at stake, not just their lives, but humanity's first contact with alien life. "This is Captain Laura Mason of the International Spaceship Artemis," she responded. "We are a peaceful research vessel. We mean no harm and would welcome peaceful dialogue." The alien response was immediate. "Your species has no rights in this space. You will submit to boarding and memory adjustment procedures." "Like hell we will," Alice muttered, her fingers flying over her console. She had spent years adding unofficial modifications to the Artemis. Now they would see if they worked. The alien ships moved to surround them. They were clearly used to species that gave in easily. They didn't expect what happened next. Alice's modifications kicked in. The Artemis's hull began to shimmer as experimental metamaterials activated, bending light around the ship. At the same time, the ship's fusion drive spun up to full power. "All hands, braced for emergency maneuvers," Laura ordered. Then she looked at her helmsman. "John, show them what this ship can do." The Artemis moved like nothing its size should be able to move. The alien ships fired strange energy weapons, but Alice's shields held, barely. The humans had one advantage. While the aliens were trying not to destroy them, they had no such restraints about damaging the alien ships. Peter worked frantically at his station. "Captain, I'm recording everything about their technology. The way they're moving, they're using some kind of space folding technology. But there's a pattern to it." "Can we use that?" Laura asked, holding onto her chair as the ship spun through another evasive pattern. Maybe. Their weapons have to travel through normal space, if we can predict where they'll appear. The battle continued for 20 tense minutes. The Artemis couldn't win against 3 advanced alien ships, but it could make boarding impossible. Every time the aliens tried to lock on, the human ship would slip away in unexpected ways. Their technology might be better, Alice said with a grim smile, but they fly like they've never been in a real fight. All theory, no practice. The aliens grew increasingly frustrated. Their perfect formation began to show gaps. Then they made their mistake. They split up to try to trap the Artemis. Now, Laura ordered. The Artemis fired its fusion drive at full power, aiming directly at the nearest alien ship. The necessary vessel had to break formation to avoid the plasma stream. In the confusion, the human ship slipped between 2 of the alien vessels. Emergency fold space detection. One of the alien ships broadcast. They're going to witness. But it was too late. The Artemis shot through the still open dimensional tear just before it closed. They emerged somewhere else, the stars around them in completely different positions. Where are we? Laura asked. Peter checked his instruments. Still in our solar system, but we're near Jupiter now. That tear, it was some kind of dimensional shortcut. Can they follow us? I don't think so. Not right away. The readings suggest these tears take time to generate. Laura nodded. Plot a course for Earth, maximum speed. We need to warn them. Humanity just got pulled into something much bigger than us. As the Artemis began its journey home, its computers worked to analyze everything they had learned about the alien ships and their technology. They had survived their first contact with an alien species, but Laura knew this was just the beginning. The Nexari had called it restricted dimensional travel technology. They had acted like they owned it, like humanity had no right to even see it. But they had made a serious mistake. They had shown their technology to the most adaptable species in known space. Humanity now knew what was possible, and they would never stop until they figured out how to do it themselves. Send all our data to Earth through the quantum link, Laura ordered. Everything we recorded about their ships, their weapons, and especially that dimensional tear. The Nexari wanted to keep us in the dark. Instead, they just gave us the keys to the universe. As the ship rushed back toward Earth, Laura looked at her crew, humans who had just faced impossible odds and survived. She saw no fear in their eyes, only determination and curiosity. The aliens thought humans were primitive, but they would soon learn what happened when humanity was challenged. The real war was just beginning, and it would be fought across dimensions themselves. Dr. Kevin Martinez hadn't slept in 3 days. The walls of his lab at Luna Base were covered with equations and 3D projections of spacetime. Ever since the ISS Artemis had sent back its data about the alien encounter, he had been obsessed with understanding what they had witnessed. "You need to see this," he said to his research partner, Dr. Michel Patel, pointing at his latest calculations. "It's not just about the technology. Earth itself is special." Michelle looked up from her own work, her tired eyes focusing on the complex mathematical models floating in the air. "What do you mean?" "Look at these gravitational patterns." Kevin highlighted a series of waves that spread out from Earth like ripples in a pond. "Our planet sits at an intersection of natural dimensional pathways. We've been living at a cosmic crossroads all along." Their conversation was interrupted by Lieutenant John Bradford, who walked into the lab without knocking. His uniform was dirty, and he looked as tired as the scientists. "We got it working," he said simply. Kevin and Michelle followed John to a secure hangar deep beneath the lunar surface. Inside sat what remained of a Nexari scout ship. The small vessel had been damaged during the battle with the Artemis and had crashed on the moon. For weeks, the best engineers from Earth had been working to understand its technology. "Watch this," John said. He pressed a button on a control panel they had jury-rigged to the alien ship. The air in front of the scout ship seemed to bend and twist. For a moment, everyone could see through what looked like a window into another place. The surface of Mars was clearly visible through the tear in space. "It's not as stable as theirs," John explained as the window flickered and died. "But we did it. We made our own dimensional tear." Kevin walked around the alien ship, shaking his head in amazement. Their technology isn't as advanced as they wanted us to think. They just had a head start. Back in his lab, Kevin pulled up the data from Earth's long-range sensors. "Look at this," he said, showing a series of readings from the past 50 years. "We've been detecting dimensional disturbances all along. We just didn't know what they were." Michelle studied the patterns. They'd been watching us, she realized. The Nexari, and who knows who else, they'd been using these natural pathways to observe Earth for years. "But why hide?" John asked. "Why not just contact us?" "Fear," Kevin said simply. "Not of what we are, but of what we could become." The Nexari didn't want to stop us from seeing their technology. They wanted to stop us from realizing our own potential. Their discussion was interrupted by an alert from the base's security system. On the screens, they could see strange readings coming from multiple points around Earth. More dimensional tiers were opening. "They're coming back," John said, reaching for his communicator. But Kevin grabbed his arm. "Wait. Look at the pattern of the tiers. They're not random. They're following Earth's natural dimensional lines, the same ones I just discovered." In orbit around Earth, dozens of sensor stations recorded the events. 7 dimensional tiers opened simultaneously, forming a perfect pattern around the planet. From each tear emerged not Nexari ships, but vessels of different designs. "Multiple alien species," Michelle whispered, watching the feeds. "The Nexari aren't the only ones who've been watching us." The alien ships didn't attack. Instead, they began broadcasting a message on all frequencies. "People of Earth," a voice said in multiple languages simultaneously, "we are the Galactic Assembly. Your recent encounter with the Nexari has forced us to reveal ourselves. Your species has discovered something that was meant to remain hidden for another century." In the lunar lab, Kevin started laughing. "They're scared," he said. "Look at their ship designs. They're all based on the same principles. None of them fought to approach dimensional travel the way we did." He pulled up the data from their experiments with the scout ship. "The Nexari, and probably all these species, they treat dimensional travel like it's pure physics. But we found something they missed. There's a consciousness component they never considered." Michelle nodded excitedly. "The quantum entanglement patterns in human brains, they naturally sync with dimensional frequencies. That's why Earth generates these natural pathways. It's not just the planet, it's us." Lieutenant Bradford watched the alien ships with military precision. "How long before they realize we've already started figuring it out?" In response, alarms began blaring throughout the base. The alien ships had detected the dimensional disturbances from their experiments with the scout ship. "Too late," Kevin said, quickly saving all their data to secure servers. "They know." The Galactic Assembly's next message was more urgent. "Cease all dimensional research immediately. Your species is not ready for this technology. Compliance is mandatory." But they had underestimated human determination. In labs across Earth and its colonies, scientists had been working on the data from the Artemis incident. The natural dimensional pathways Kevin had discovered were already being mapped. Engineers were studying the salvaged scout ship, and deep in classified facilities, new ships were being built. "They thought they could keep us in the dark," John said, watching as Earth's defense forces went to high alert. "But they showed their hand too soon." Kevin turned to his colleagues. "We need to finish our research before they try to stop us. Humanity now knows what's possible. There's no going back." Michelle was already pulling up new calculations. "If we can understand how human consciousness interacts with dimensional space, we might be able to do more than just copy their technology. We could surpass it." Above them, the alien ships maintained their pattern around Earth, watching and waiting. They had come to prevent humanity from gaining dimensional travel technology. Instead, they had given humanity exactly the push it needed. In his lab, Kevin looked at a small device they had built based on the alien technology. It wasn't much, just a prototype capable of creating tiny tears in space. But it was proof that humanity could do it. And once humans proved something was possible, they never stopped until they mastered it. "Send word to Admiral Cooper," John said into his communicator. "Tell her Project Starbridge needs to begin immediately." The assembly gave us a choice: stay earthbound and safe, or reach for the stars and face their fears. I think we all know which one humanity will choose. As if in response to his words, the prototype device hummed to life, creating a small but stable dimensional tear. Through it, they could see the stars as no human ever had before. It wasn't just a window to another place. It was humanity's first step into a much larger universe. The hidden truth wasn't just about alien technology or dimensional pathways. It was about humanity's unique place in the cosmos. The aliens had been right to be worried. Humanity wasn't just ready for dimensional travel. They were born for it. Admiral Susan Cooper stood in the massive underground facility of Project Starbridge, watching as hundreds of engineers and scientists worked on humanity's response to the alien ultimatum. The main chamber was filled with the soft blue glow of experimental dimensional drives. "How soon?" she asked Engineer Daniel Foster, who was checking readings on the prototype ship. "2 weeks," he replied, not looking up from his work. "Maybe less." Dr. Patel's discovery about human consciousness changed everything. The prototype ship looked nothing like the sleek Nexari vessels. It was built for function over beauty, with thick armor and multiple backup systems. Humans knew their first dimensional ships needed to be tough enough to survive combat. At her station, Dr. Michelle Patel adjusted the neural interface systems. "The aliens never thought to link their ships directly to their minds," she explained. "They don't understand how consciousness affects dimensional space." The project had moved faster than anyone expected. What the aliens thought would take centuries, humans were achieving in months. Fear of alien intervention drove them to work around the clock, but it was human creativity that made the impossible possible. "We have movement," called out Ryan Carter from his monitoring station. The young tech specialist had been watching the alien ships in orbit. "The Galactic Assembly is getting nervous. They're bringing in more ships." Susan walked to the main screen, studying the alien vessels. "They know we're up to something, but they still don't know what." Ryan smiled as he typed on his keyboard. "And they won't, thanks to this." He showed them his latest work, a program that had cracked the aliens' dimensional communications. "They think their transmissions are secure, but we can read everything." "What are they saying?" Daniel asked, joining them at the screen. "They're arguing," Ryan said. "Some want to attack Earth now. Others think it's too risky. They're afraid of causing too much damage to the dimensional pathways that cross here." Susan nodded. This was the advantage they needed. Keep monitoring them. "I want to know the moment they make a decision." In another part of the facility, test pilots were training on simulators. The neural interfaces gave them incredible control over dimensional tiers, but it took practice to handle the mental strain. Many of the best pilots were young. Their minds were more adaptable to the new technology. "Look at this," Michelle called out. She had been studying the latest test results. "The human brain naturally creates patterns that match dimensional frequencies. We're not just using the technology. We're part of it." Daniel examined the data. "That's why our tiers are more stable than theirs. Their machines fight against space itself. Our systems work with it." A loud alarm interrupted their discussion. On the main screen, the alien ships were moving into attack formation. "They've made their decision," Ryan announced, reading the intercepted communications. "They're going to try to knock out our power grid. They think it will stop our research." Susan smiled grimly. "They still think we're working from surface facilities. They have no idea about any of this." She pressed a button on her command console, sending a pre-planned signal to all Project Starbridge facilities around the world. "Begin Operation Breakthrough. All ships, prepare for launch." The aliens had assumed humans would build one or two experimental ships. Instead, humanity had built a fleet. Hidden in underground bases across the planet were 30 vessels, each equipped with the new dimensional drive technology. All ships report ready, Ryan announced. Neural interfaces online. Susan looked at the gathered crew. The aliens thought they could keep us ground-bound and weak. Today, we show them how wrong they were. Deep beneath the Earth's surface, massive doors began to open. The prototype ships, each crewed by carefully chosen pilots and engineers, powered up their systems. Unlike the alien vessels, these ships were built for war from the start. All ships, initiate neural sync, Michelle ordered through the command channel. Remember your training. Let your minds guide the tiers. In orbit, the alien fleet prepared to launch their attack. They never expected what happened next. Dimensional tiers began opening all around Earth, but not like the stable, predictable ones the aliens used. These tiers shifted and moved, guided by human consciousness. Through these portals came humanity's first dimensional fleet. They're in chaos, Ryan reported, monitoring the alien communications. They can't understand how we're moving the tiers. Their targeting systems can't lock on. The human ships struck fast and hard. Their weapons were simple, adapted fusion drives and rail guns, but their dimensional maneuvers made them nearly impossible to hit. They could appear from any direction, strike, and vanish before the aliens could respond. Multiple alien ships damage, Ryan called out. They're falling back to regroup. Susan watched the battle with pride. Humanity had done more than just copy alien technology. They had improved it. The neural interfaces let human pilots perform maneuvers that the aliens had thought impossible. Send the message, she ordered. Through every dimensional frequency, Earth broadcast its response to the Galactic Assembly's ultimatum. You tried to keep us from the stars. Susan's voice rang out. You thought we weren't ready. Today, we prove you wrong. Humanity claims its place among the dimensions. The alien fleet retreated, their formations broken. They had expected to find a primitive species struggling with stolen technology. Instead, they found an enemy that had taken their dimensional science in entirely new directions. In the command center, Michelle showed Susan the latest readings. The neural interfaces are working better than we hoped. Each time our pilots use them, they get stronger. We're actually learning to sense dimensional space naturally. What does that mean for the future? Susan asked. It means we're just getting started, Michelle replied. The aliens thought dimensional travel was their secret to keep. They never imagined that humans would have a natural gift for it. As the first battle ended, humanity's fleet took up defensive positions around Earth. They had surprised the Galactic Assembly once. Now they had to prepare for the real war that was coming. But looking at the determined faces around her, Susan knew humanity was ready. They had done what the aliens thought impossible, and this was just the beginning. The age of human dimensional space had begun. Commander Patricia Wells stood on the bridge of the Independence, Earth's newest and largest dimensional warship. The vessel hummed with power as its neural interfaces connected with her mind. Through these links, she could feel dimensional space like it was an extension of her own body. Galactic assembly ships detected, her sensor officer reported. A lot of them. They're gathering at dimensional junction points all around our solar system. Patricia nodded. After their first defeat, the aliens had spent 2 months preparing for a bigger attack. Now they were back, with ships from 12 different species working together against Earth. All ships, battle formations, she ordered. The Earth Defense Fleet moved into position around her. Unlike their first hastily built ships, these vessels were properly designed for war. They were smaller than alien ships, but faster and more agile. Dr. Eric Taylor rushed onto the bridge, his eyes bright with excitement. Commander, the new quantum entanglement system is ready. We can now coordinate our ships across multiple dimensions at once. This was humanity's latest advantage. While alien fleets had to send signals through normal space or dimensional tiers, Human ships could communicate instantly through quantum links. The aliens still didn't understand how humans were coordinating their attacks so perfectly. Multiple dimensional tiers opening. The sensor officer called out, "Enemy fleet incoming." The space around Earth lit up with hundreds of purple tiers as the Galactic Assembly launched its attack. Alien ships poured through, their weapons charging. "They think numbers will win this fight," Patricia said calmly. "Show them why they're wrong. All ships, initiate Operation Scatter." The human fleet split apart, each ship opening its own dimensional tiers. But these weren't the stable, predictable tiers the aliens used. Human neural interfaces let them create tiers that moved and changed, making it impossible for enemy ships to guess where they would appear. "First wave, attack pattern Delta," Patricia ordered through the quantum link. Her words reached every human ship at the same instant, letting them attack as one. The battle that followed was unlike anything in human or alien history. Human ships jumped between dimensions faster than the aliens thought possible. They appeared from unexpected angles, fired their weapons, and vanished before the aliens could respond. "Their formation is breaking up," Eric reported, watching the quantum sensor displays. "They can't maintain a coordinated attack when they can't predict where we'll be." The aliens had superior weapons and stronger shields, but these advantages meant nothing if they couldn't hit their targets. Human ships danced through dimensional space, using tiers like doorways in a complex fight that happened in multiple dimensions at once. "Mom," the sensor officer called out, "the Nexeri ships are launching some kind of new weapon." Strange devices appeared in space, creating a web of energy that seemed to stabilize dimensional space. The aliens were trying to stop humans from making their unpredictable tiers. "Nice try," Patricia said with a smile. She reached out through her neural interface, feeling the energy web with her mind. "But you still don't understand what you're dealing with." All ships switched to secondary frequencies. The human fleet shifted their dimensional tiers to new patterns that bypassed the alien web completely. It was like they were operating in a completely different layer of space that the aliens couldn't access. "They're pulling back," Eric announced. "Their dimensional stabilizers aren't working." Patricia watched as the alien fleet struggled to maintain formation. Their carefully planned attack was falling apart because they couldn't adapt to human tactics. They fought like they were following a rulebook, while humans treated dimensional space like a living thing they could work with. "Signal from Earth," the communications officer reported. "Dr. Patel has completed the analysis of alien fleet movements. They're operating from a central command center through normal space channels. If we can find it, we can cut off their coordination completely." Patricia finished. She studied the tactical display, noting how the alien ships moved. "There, that large station they're keeping behind their lines. That's their command center." The Independence's neural interface hummed as Patricia planned her attack. "All ships, prepare for synchronized jump. We're going to show them something new." The human fleet gathered into small groups. Each group opened a dimensional tier, but instead of going through, they linked their tiers together. The result was a massive dimensional corridor that curved through space in ways the aliens had never seen. "Fire primary weapons," Patricia ordered. Every human ship fired at once, their energy weapons and railguns launching through the linked tiers. The attacks curved through dimensional space, bypassing the alien fleet completely. By the time the aliens realized what was happening, it was too late. The combined firepower of the human fleet struck the alien command center from multiple angles simultaneously. The station's shields, designed to block attacks from normal space, couldn't handle weapons coming through dimensional tiers. "Direct hits," the weapons officer reported. "Their command center is breaking up." Without their central coordination, the alien fleet fell into chaos. Ships from different species began acting independently, their formations falling apart. "Send the message," Patricia ordered. The Independence broadcast on all frequencies. "Your technology didn't make you superior. It made you predictable. This is your last warning. Leave Earth space, or we'll show you what else humans can do with dimensional travel. The alien fleet retreated, leaving their damaged ships behind. They had lost not just a battle, but their belief in their own superiority. Humanity had taken their dimensional technology and changed it into something they barely recognized. Multiple alien ships surrendering, Eric reported. They're requesting permission to land on Earth. Patricia smiled. Tell them they're welcome to land. As guests, not conquerors. It's time they learned who they're really dealing with. The battle was over, but Patricia knew this wasn't the end. The Galactic Assembly would be back, probably with even more ships. But now they knew that humanity wasn't just another primitive species to be controlled. Through her neural interface, Patricia could feel dimensional space shifting and moving around her ship. It felt right, natural, like humans were always meant to travel this way. The aliens had tried to keep this power for themselves, but in doing so, they had awakened something they never expected: humanity's true potential. Captain Christopher Owen walked through the gleaming halls of the Dimensional Hub, the center of the Galactic Assembly's power. Just 6 months ago, humans weren't even supposed to know this place existed. Now, he led Earth's first official diplomatic mission here. The Council is ready to see you, a tall, blue-skinned alien said. The Nexari diplomat looked nervous, very different from the arrogant attitude they had shown during first contact. Chris nodded to his team. Dr. Amy Rodriguez carried data tablets showing Earth's latest breakthroughs in dimensional physics. Dr. Nathan Harris had plans for joint exploration missions. They were here to show that humans could be valuable allies, not just powerful enemies. The council chamber was enormous, with representatives from 50 alien species sitting in rising tiers around a central platform. Chris noticed that many of them touched their neural interfaces, copies of human technology. As his team entered, humans, the head counselor spoke, his voice echoing in the vast space. 6 months ago, we thought your species needed another century of development before joining galactic society. We were wrong. Amy stepped forward, activating a holographic display. We've learned much since then, she said. But we've also discovered things that all of us missed about dimensional space. The display showed new mapping of dimensional pathways, far more detailed than anything the assembly had. The aliens leaned forward, their eyes wide as they saw how human consciousness could detect patterns their machines had missed for centuries. This is impossible, one alien counselor said. These pathways should be invisible. Only to machines, Nathan explained. Living minds can sense them naturally. We just needed to learn how to look. The council chamber filled with excited whispers. Many of the aliens were already using human-designed neural interfaces, but this was something new. There's more, Amy continued. She showed them data from Earth's latest experiments. We found ways to create stable dimensional pathways that anyone can use, not just humans. With your help, we could build a network that connects the entire galaxy. High Commander Zixtal, who had led the first contact with the Artemis, stood up. You offer to share this technology, after we tried to keep you from it. Chris smiled. That's what humans do. We learn, we improve, and we share. Fighting you wasn't our goal. Exploring the universe is. The head counselor raised his hand for silence. You understand that some among us still fear your species. Your progress in just 6 months has been disturbing. We understand, Chris replied. That's why we're here. To show you that humans can be more than warriors. We can be teachers, explorers, and allies. Nathan activated another display, showing plans for a joint human-alien mission. We've found dimensional pathways leading to places none of our species have explored. We invite you to join us in mapping them. The council chamber erupted in discussion. The aliens had expected humans to come demanding revenge or recognition. Instead, they were offering partnership. There is another matter, the head counselor said after the noise died down. Other species are approaching dimensional travel capability. The old policy was to delay them. As we try to delay you, What do you suggest? Chris looked at his team, then back at the council. Help them. Guide them. Let them join us in exploration. The dimensions don't belong to any one species. Amy stepped forward again. We've already started a training program for other species learning to use neural interfaces. Many of your people have joined it. The results have been impressive. She showed records of alien pilots learning to sense dimensional space like humans did. Their success proved that consciousness-based dimensional travel wasn't just for humans. It was a skill any species could learn with the right training. You would make dimensional travel available to everyone? A counselor asked, sounding shocked. With proper safety measures and training, yes, Chris answered. The universe is too big for any of us to explore alone. The council went into private session to discuss the human proposals. While they waited, Chris and his team met with scientists and pilots from various species. The aliens were eager to learn about human methods and share their own knowledge. After 3 hours, the council returned. The head counselor looked at the humans with new respect. We accept your proposals, he announced. The dimensional accords will be rewritten. Earth will have a permanent seat on this council, and your methods will be incorporated into our operations. Chris nodded. And the other developing species. They will be contacted and offered guidance, as you suggested. The era of secrecy is over. As the meeting ended, Dr. Nathan Harris approached the head counselor with one last request. We've detected unusual dimensional signatures beyond the galaxy's edge. We'd like to organize a joint expedition to investigate. The head counselor looked at the data, then smiled. An expression he had learned from working with humans. You never stop exploring, do you? That's what makes us human, Nathan replied. Later, as their ship prepared to return to Earth, Chris watched alien vessels practicing new dimensional travel techniques alongside human ships. The sight filled him with pride. In just 6 months, humanity had gone from being kept in the dark to teaching the teachers. Ready to go home? Amy asked, joining him at the viewport. Almost, he replied. First, let's take a little detour. Nathan's dimensional signatures look interesting. Their ship opened a tear in space, but not the simple kind the aliens had once used. This was a human tear, guided by consciousness and intuition as much as technology. Through it, they could see unknown stars waiting to be explored. The war was over, but humanity's real adventure was just beginning. They had shocked the galactic powers not just with their strength, but with their willingness to share and teach. Now, with the combined knowledge of 50 species and humanity's unique insights, there was no limit to what they could discover. As their ship entered the dimensional tear, Chris thought about how far they had come. The aliens had tried to keep humanity from the stars, fearing what they might become. Instead, they had helped create something new, a galaxy where all species could reach for the infinite together.